Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with another video. This time we're going to talk about the new way of doing SSL decryption on the secure firewall in version 10.0. Now, if you haven't seen SSL decryption on an FTD, I did a video on that. I'm going to put it up here real quick, and I'm going to put a link in the description because maybe you don't want to click on the card that's going to be up here. That's going to show you basic SSL decryption on a secure firewall. In the lab, though, I'm going to show you two ways, right? So there's two different rules. There's a new way of doing it. One is the old way, which you'll see in that video, but I'm going to, review it here, which is rule-based. And then the other one is kind of this new way. Now, there is something in the newer way that I wish they would copy over from the old way, and then it'd make the new way a lot better. So let's look at the FMC or the SMC, depending on who you ask, and then I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Let's go. So you've seen this before. I did a video on the new FMC or SCM version 10, which I said is pretty cool. And again, it is not the gold star. So do not have a resume changing event by putting this on your production network. Do not do this. Do this in a staging network or a lab network and then rip it up, play around, all that type of stuff in here. So I do have, you already seen the lab, so I'm not going to waste my time showing you the lab. It's the same firewall lab you saw a bunch of times. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the policies and decryption. Now, you will see two policies here. You have the new style, and then you have the old style that I marked as rule-based. Now, in version 10, what they do is they put a circle to tell you it's rule-based. So let's look at the rule-based one so we can get a quick little, refresher on the rule-based stuff. So if we go in here and just look at the policies, basically it's rule-based. You're going to, decrypt and resign, or you're not going to decrypt or you're going to block, depending on what you want to do, right? So here's the one with the block with reset. Now I didn't do my, categories, categories I want to block. Well, I didn't put that in here because I just wanted to show y'all what the rule base is. Then you have some ones that say do not decrypt. Now there's a DN list here that I created. Now the DN list is here, which is distinguished names, which are basically going to be things that if you're going here, we're not going to decrypt it. Now, the one I have is do not or don't decrypt. That has a couple more in here. It has Microsoft in there. They have SourceFire in there. And I believe I have another CN in there because SSL decryption kind of breaks like Microsoft updates and stuff like that if you have a server or machines. So I kind of just say don't decrypt anything from, Microsoft, and it will break SourceFire updates to the FMC or SMC. And I found out the hard way because I had to look at the logging and see, oh, it was getting broken by, SSL decryption. So certain things you just can't you can't decrypt, right? Certain things you can't decrypt because one, legal purposes, and two, it breaks the communication. So you can't decrypt everything. And then all the way, this do not decrypt here. This is the legal ones like finance, health, online trading, stuff like that. Things that you can't decrypt are undecryptable. Don't decrypt it. And then obviously there's a rule at the bottom here that says decrypt everything else. Right now, this automatically gets created when you create the rule-based stuff. If you just go through the wizard, it's literally a wizard. You check a couple buttons and it'll auto create all of this. As you can see, it says auto create. Right. And then the default action is do not decrypt, but obviously your action above the default is decrypt, so you're never really going to hit the do not decrypt one. So that's what that looks like. Now there's some advanced stuff in here. Quick decryption. Now Quick is a new protocol. If you go to Google, you'll notice that that Google traffic is using Quick. Got to be careful with this because it may or may not break traffic that's using Quick, right? So I got it turned on in the lab, but again, you should test this in your lab environment, your staging environment to see if quick decryption is going to cause a problem. If it is, just turn it off. That's usually what they recommend. They say turn it off, turn it back on. I would just leave it off for now until, vendors actually learn how to do this appropriately or properly and it doesn't break traffic. Right now, not that many vendors do quick decryption, and the ones that try or attempt to do it, it can break traffic because of that. Then you got your undecryptable actions. basic stuff. I never played with this. I never really did anything with this, but you can if you want to. But I don't really suggest you do it unless you know what you're actually doing here. So that's the rule-based one, right? It's based on rules that you create. Now the new way, which is the one that I'm using actually in my SSL decryption lab right now, is this new one. So it looks like this, which is totally different. Now, the thing that I said that I wish that they would bring over to this version of the SSL decryption configuration is the do not decrypt list. As you can see right now, I have outbound decryption, so that means from inside going out. Inbound decryption is something totally different. That's where you're going to fake as if someone was coming inbound to a web server or something, the firewall is going to act like it's the web server because it's going to present the web server certificate, and then you think that you're communicating with the web server, but you're actually communicating with the firewall. That firewall decrypts the traffic and then sends it to the server that it needs to go to. But that's inbound decryption. But we're going with outbound decryption now. That means anybody from inside your network going out to the internet. Now with this, this method is pretty cool, or this wizard is pretty cool in my opinion. You got your security zones you get to pick. You know, where's it coming from? Obviously, I got RFC 1918s. I'm going to use that certificate, SSL Decrypt certificate that I created on the FMC. Now, these bypass destinations are network, right? They're not DNs, they're not distinguished names. So you can't create a don't decrypt list and use it in this type of SSL decryption policy, right? You can bypass users if you want, you can do applications if you want, but as of right now, I do not see a way, like even if I go to filters, hopefully it may be in there, but as I was looking in here, I did not see a way. Yeah, I don't see a DN list that I can use, right? This is all application stuff. Bypass URL categories. These are just categories. These are not DNs or custom lists. So Cisco, if anybody from Cisco is watching this, please put the ability to implement do not decrypt list or DN list in this style of SSL decryption, so we don't have to be forced to use rule based, because this kind of doesn't make any sense to me, where in the rule based version I can say don't decrypt specific distinguished names, but in this new version I don't get that same feature, right? So somebody in the BU or somebody in the lab back there, they need to put the DN kind of category somewhere in here, somewhere in here that says, hey, if you want a specific list that you don't want to do decryption on, all right, just tell us what list it is, and that will be in the policy, right? Because I really like this style over the rule-based one. Now, obviously, when you're done with all this and you set it up, you go to your access rules, and then I'm going to use I got it on the HA one, but I also have it on here. So this is a base policy. So you would configure it under your base policy. Do whatever that goes. Say, so you would go to decryption, select your base policy, and then or your policy, and then in this version, your sub policies will automatically inherit that. So I haven't actually configured any devices to use these policies yet. But if we go to, this is just taking way too long. As you can see, it automatically it inherit whatever my base policy said. All right, now you could technically go into edit advanced, and then if I unchecked inherit from the base policy, then I can select some other policy that I created if I wanted to. All right, actually, we will do that. Yeah, if I just did this and then go to edit, now I can select either one, right? But because, oh, come on, you, done. Because I'm inheriting from the base policy, it's just going to automatically select what I selected from the base policy. Now it's the same thing that I did on the, the HQ or the HA firewall. So there's no need, and then you just need to deploy it. Obviously, I didn't change anything. So once you deploy it, then you have SSL decryption going. I believe. Let's sign into this. just so you guys can see, because you know I'm not the type of person to just want to show you something and then not show you that SSL decryption is technically working here. Now, this is using the same policy from HA that was using my ICE-PX Grid trusted devices dynamic attribute connector object. So let's actually make sure that object is still being seen, because I might need to redo this. So let's go to dynamic objects. So right now there's a 0 in dynamic attributes. So because there's a 0, guess what happens? I won't be able to get to the internet. So now we need to go to here again, and we will simulate disconnected and reconnecting. Before we do that, let's open this up. We're going to simulate disconnected and reconnecting. And it's going to do the update thing. Then it's going to do a scan. Then once that says, compliant, all right, I'm going to slide this over to the side. We're going to go to the FMC, make sure that that refresh to 1. There you go. It's 1 now. Let's see what we got. That's the IP address that it maps to. And remember what I told you before, just so you guys see it again. The policy here for internet is trusted devices going in the WAN. All right. So if I wasn't in trusted devices, which is right here, if I wasn't in trusted devices, this wouldn't work. I wouldn't get internet access. So now let's slide this back over. Let's validate that we got internet access here. So now we can get out to the internet. That would not have worked if trusted devices wasn't there. And I go to my trusted MBA.com here. I know one thing, my time is this version of Windows 11 that I'm using. The time it always, for some odd reason, is off. I think it's because I'm using the developmental version or the developer version. So there could be some little bugs in there or something like that. Let's see, we got so there, certificate is valid. Not sure why that popped up. But let's adjust this time here. Man, I need to put some more resources on these nodes, man. Everything is just taking way too long. So I got that. That'll probably pop up later on me. Come on. Yeah, this is what happens for you people that want to do EVNG and stuff like that. When you start running these super big labs, you're gonna run into this problem. Let's go to Google, and I'm gonna just look up stuff.com. If I can type in Google, actually. Oh, there we go. So there we go. Took a little while, but as you can see, my SSL decryption policy is working because the common name on that cert is SSL decrypt.plt.com. So that just shows you that it is technically working. The resign is actually happening. Basically, the man in the middle attack is happening. I'm taking it, decrypting it, resigning it with a known key, or re-signing it with the certificate, then I trust, and then we're good to go here. So that validates that SSL decryption is working with the new style, not the rule base. And because this is really annoying me, I'm going to fix the time here. All right. And that is the new way of doing SSL decryption on version 10.0 on Cisco Secure Firewall. Now, again, it's a cool way of doing it. I like it better than the rule-based one, but they're missing that one critical piece, which is allowing me to specify a certain list of CNs or common names that I don't want to decrypt, so I don't have to worry about any kind of issue here. And we see some quick actually over here. We do see some quick. So that's probably me going to Google because I know they use that. And I know Facebook uses it. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you found some value in it, please don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's help build this community. I appreciate every subscriber, every view I get. Really appreciate it. This is Don from Power Technologies again. Thank you and have a nice day.